Thank you PCBWay for sponsoring this video. You can finally customize your Nintendo Switch 2. Extreme Rate sent over 2 shells we're going to be installing today, and this charging stand. The first shell is a translucent atomic purple, just like the original Game Boy Color. The second one is simply clear, until you turn off the lights, and it's an oddly bright glow-in-the-dark green. These kits are surprisingly comprehensive too. Let me give you some examples. As expected, you get all new shells, buttons as advertised. But I didn't expect so many extras, like more than one extra spring as they launch into the abyss, and I can just use an extra instead of going to find them. While I use my own tools, these kits do come with tools too, so don't go around buying your own, and if you do, use the links in my description below. Speaking of links down there, I was able to get a coupon code for 10% off for my viewers if you order from the Extreme Rate site, so don't leave any money on the table. So what we're going to do here is first replace the back of my Switch 2s, which the hardest parts are just some prying, and the kickstand is probably most involved. For the Joy-Cons, I have a lot of cuts, zooms, commentary for the left Joy-Con, if that's what you're looking for, and the right Joy-Con has minimal editing if that is what you're looking for. Both are very similar except for location of some ribbon cables, so choose your own adventure. Finally, I'll show you where you can test all your buttons on the Switch 2. I also want to throw a quick shout out to the Astro Gear Joy-Con charger they sent over too. I said I'd include it if I liked it, and well, here we are. I initially didn't have an interest, but this solved a problem I had that I didn't realize I had, where I like to play my Switch 2 at the computer desk, but like to hide the actual Switch 2. It was a real pain to get to the controllers, especially since they have to be charged, but I could put my controllers on this charger now, have the charger easily accessible next to my computer, and can wake the Switch from sleep with these Joy-Cons. Since my HDMI cable for the Switch 2 dock is so small, this has legitimately earned a spot on my desk. So while Extreme Rate sent the parts, PCBWay is today's sponsor. If you need any 3D printing, like my Switch 2 accessories here, then PCBWay can do the work for you, and you'll know you're getting the absolute best print. Upload your file, select quantity, material, color, inserts, and more. Then production begins in just a few days. If you need more than 3D printing, check out their custom PCBs and CNC machining. You can use my link in the description below to save $5 off your first order. So we're going to start with the back plate of the screen. I have all my parts pulled out already. You'll see there's a lot of duplicates, not the screen, but for the Joy-Cons anyway. For example, we have 2 of each of these stickers, and these are good stickers, like the plastic-backed, reusable ones that Nintendo sent out. So a lot of quality parts here. Let's get these Joy-Cons out of here. First step is to remove the back plate. So we have our only 2 Y-shaped tri-wing screws here. So let's get those out. There are a lot of different screws to remove the back plate, but I can keep them in one container because, for example, these are the only 2 Y-wing screws. That's going to be pretty easy to find later. There's 1 screw up here. This is a different length than the rest, but there's only 1 black screw of this length for the outer shell. These bottom 2 are pretty short, but again, these are the only pair of Phillips black screws to get the shell open. Finally, we need to peel back these stickers and get to 2 golden screws underneath on each side. So these stickers, they require a little bit of effort to get up, but you can get them up without destroying them quite easily. This was the switch I used in my teardown video, so second time stickers put down, it's not on very good, and thus this comes up super easy. It'll take you a little more effort to do that the first time. All right, let's remove these last 4 screws. I like raising this up so I can pull on a little bit. Next step,
we got to peel back the back cover. I like starting near the speakers because right here I can get the pick in. The hardest part, I think, is going to be this USB port. You got to get the plastic up and over. Once you've done that, the rest is fairly easy. Again, this switch has already been opened multiple times, so you might have to put in a little more effort than I just did. Also, make sure you remove the game. That may hold you up if there's a game in there. So first thing I want to do is put in our cartridge holder. Everything Nintendo makes, the QA is phenomenal. Everything's high quality, fits great. If it doesn't feel like it fits right, you're probably right. Trust your intuition there. For example, even this is keyed. There is a little post here and none over here. And then where it goes, there's a hole here. And this one's filled in. So you can't put it in upside down where the post is trying to go into the full hole. I'm going to save the buttons for last because they aren't screwed in or anything. Next is the hinge. So we're going to remove these 4 screws. And then remember, once we have that out, there are screws on the sides we need to remove. I 3D printed a ton of these little screw trays. I recommend you do too, or find Tupperware. Now that we have our kickstand off, we need to remove these covers one at a time. They are keyed to be different. So this first part, it's just squeezed onto one of the bars in there. You can just pull it away. You can see how it's got a little nubbin on the outside here. That's why we're doing this one at a time. So this part, we have a screw that we need to remove. We're going to leave it where I can see it. And this one pulls out. There's another nubbin inside the hinge that we can easily remove, but it's there if you're having some trouble getting it out. There we go. See, there it is. Let's do it for the other side. Get them back in our shell. Let's screw them down. So I am going to put some of these stickers on. Not quite sure what all of their uses are. This big black one goes behind the fan, so I assume it's some sort of heat shield. So there are little indents here. It's probably really hard to see on camera, but it kind of tells you where it should go. I'm going to use the underlight here to really find them. Get those on there. So we are going to reuse this membrane, and the membrane goes like this, where this is the back side and this is the side against the buttons. Now these are keyed in a way that these are on, go between the buttons. So something like this, if that makes sense. This might be hard to show. I'm just going to push down. All right. That is in place, but it's not on these little nubbins. So I'm going to push down on those. And it's going to move on me. Bottom. We're going to do the top first, though. So the top is towards me. Now the top is away from me. And we're going to push down. Remember our USB port? I just want to pull it up a little so it goes over the USB port. Press fits into place. Now I recommend before doing stickers and screwing this in that we double check our buttons work. So my power button pushed in, but it's not popping back out. There we go, now it's clicking. Now on the Atomic Purple one, I have this adhesive stuck right away. So let's see if I can get it first try. No. It's okay, you can pull it up. I just don't want to have to do that. Oh, there we go. All right. All right, got it charging, but we turn it on with power button, feels good. Volume looks good. All right, let's move on to the Joy-Cons and get this thing fully charged. Now, before I started recording, I took all the pieces out of the bags and set them aside. We're going to start with the left Joy-Con. Everything is essentially pre-assembled, so you get to pull it apart before you start. Well, the top, mid plate, the mouse section, and its cover, and then the bottom. First thing we'll do to disassemble the controller is this side piece needs pulled away. There are tabs underneath, and as well as adhesive. And once that's pulled out, you can pull the rest of the way. There are 4 screws. 3 of them are tri-wing, which we're going to start with first. There's 1 on the outer edge, and then 2 by the mouse parts. Once that is done, you'll be able to peel this apart. We may have to help it along a little bit. And the back should come right off. Be careful as you disassemble this. Your rumble motor is attached to the motherboard here. So you can go ahead and pull it out. We're going to start with this first because the theme is I want to disassemble this and reassemble as we go. So this just has an adhesive backing. Oops. So we'll get our little pry tool underneath. When we go to put it back on, I will want the wire down. Next thing we're going to do is we can pull away the lever to release the Joy-Con. Underneath that, the mount for that lever just has 2 screws. We can pull this out. The shoulder button is next. So there's a hinge in here and it's press fit on each side. So all you have to do is get a wedge tool underneath and prop it up. There is this spring in here. You can remove it or you don't have to. We will leave it there for now. Now there's 2 screws underneath that. Okay, and then let's finish removing this mid plate. So we'll remove 2 silver screws by the battery. That should be it for the mid plate. So next, be sure to disconnect the battery. And be very careful because we have a ribbon cable here. This can come off to make it easier. I'll detach that. This battery is going to require some convincing. There is a lot of adhesive underneath. So you should be able to fit a pry tool in there and begin to work it away. In the previous build I did, I had to use some isopropyl alcohol to loosen the adhesive. Hopefully, that's not a problem here. It feels like it's coming away. Oh yeah, it is. All right, so we still have some adhesive on there, you can see. I'm gonna leave, well, there we go. So again, the theme is we're gonna move parts over as we're done. For this, we need to place some foam. Remember, these are all parts for both Joy-Cons. So we're only gonna use 1 set of foam here. Okay, with that done, remember your wire is going to go to the bottom, away from your shoulder buttons here. Just get that in there, push real good. So we're going to lift up on the connection for the ribbon cables and then pull them out ever so gently. Destroy this ribbon cable and you are buying a new controller. And I'm going to do the joystick now so I don't forget later. Okay. Our mouse portion has 2 screws and somewhere under here, it's under the PCB. So we're going to get this off and do this first. So this should loosen the PCB. Yeah, there we go. These are all the PCB screws. Here is where it was held in before removing the PCB. And here we go. So I'm going to set this aside. We're going to do the mouse next. We have 4 screws. Be careful as you undo it. This is spring loaded and it will shoot and you will lose it. It's okay. We have plenty of extras in here, but I like spare parts, so I'm going to try and save it anyway. I really am trying to reuse all the parts I can. So to prevent this from shooting out anywhere, I'm going to hold it down with my finger and slowly let this up. Here we go. 1 spring. So notice both the ribbon cables go up and the ribbon cables did not go through this hole. I don't know why that hole's there. It does fit this ribbon cable, but it does not go through it. All right, with that out, we're going to peel up this series of PCBs. There we go. Okay, let's get our replacement. I'm going to orient these the same. We're going to take out the buttons because we need to add these things. Let's start by removing this sync button. So this has a blue cap on it that we're going to get rid of, because in here is our replacement cap. Now it'll just stick right in the rubber membrane. There we go. And you can literally just drop that in. So the inner ones are whole loops and the outer ones are half loops. If you can see, there's a thin side on this, and that goes to the inside like that. We'll do this half loop and go here. There we go. These are important for a good fit with the magnets. Do not skip this step. You will regret it. This is the LED diffuser, and that goes right here. It is keyed with slots, so it's hard to mess that up. It will be pressure fit, so as you finish this step, be very careful. So R should be like this. You can't really mess this up either. There's a longer end here that will not fit on the other side. Oh, and you can see that diffuser came off. So I just have to convince this to sit right. We are ready to get this back in now. These are the LEDs and they will go against the diffuser. There is also the ribbon cables are bent, so be sure that fits like between the membrane and the plastic here. Also, the mouse sensor will go here. So first part I'm going to get in is by our membrane. Try to keep the diffuser in place. Great. Now, the mouse sensor side, it's in. My diffuser is still in place. Let's press this down. The spring goes first. This has a cylinder here that goes into the spring, and it all sits on top. Don't worry about pressing it down yet. Again, this is keyed. You can see it's kind of like rounded at one end, square on the other. And so is this. So what I like to do first, get this in. This just drops in. So I will key this up just like that. Twist it around. Great. And the first screw I do, first of all, you probably have to wiggle this around so it goes through. You can see that. Now, of course, this is going to be the first screw I do. So I'm going to reuse my arrows, and we have to reuse the joystick. So again, I want to keep it the same orientation. These buttons have a little bit of adhesive on there, so I can just transplant them, no problem. Okay. To our joystick. It just takes these two screws and it pops right out. So I'm going to leave the screws right there. Move it over. Again, this is keyed in that there is this nubbin right here that it slides onto. And we can screw it back in. We will need the membranes for our buttons. Here is the minus that we'll cut off. Again, even though this is a square with a circle on it, it is still keyed. It may be hard to see, but there's a cut on the bottom and the top. I don't see any cuts anywhere else. Again, it may be hard to see, but there is a nub, top and bottom here. And as usual, the side of the membrane with the dot here goes towards the button. All right, I'm not going to flip it around too much because it's all loose, but that looks pretty good. So remember, the mouse had this hole mount here, so we need to get that on first, but we're not going to screw anything in yet. So it press fits up here and down here, and that is in place. Get our PCB lined up a little downward so I can get the joystick ribbon in place through the hole. That should be pretty good. And our buttons are still here and clicky. First thing I'm going to do is secure the mouse piece because I have one long screw here and one short screw on the bottom. There are screws here and here, but those are going to be for the mid plate. This one just goes, again, up by the joystick. Let's do our ribbon cables. Again, be gentle. You destroy these, you're buying a new controller. It just slides in. Bend over this to lock it. If it doesn't look right or feel right, it's probably not right because the level of QA Nintendo has on this stuff is huge. Everything is the perfect length. This joystick's pain in the butt. Right. There we go. Joystick is always going to be the hardest one. Now, when I say all ribbon cables, I mean this one too. So this one, it'll feel like it's upside down like this. And that one's pretty easy to get in. Let's do the mid plate next. I have 2 silver screws already by the battery, which is perfect right here. All right, let's get our, this is pretty rigid here. It's not really a ribbon cable at the top because, and everything's clear, so it's hard to see, but you would put it in place and then there's like a clip on the side that holds it. The clip, again, I don't know if it's coming through, but it's right next to the button right here. There we go. Right here where my pliers are. All right, so I'm going to pull off the spring here. So it goes here, and the post is a little bigger than the spring because you're supposed to compress it on there so it sticks. Do this wrong, it might go shooting somewhere, but that's good because we have extras. And this one wasn't on nearly as secure. Here we go. All right, the reason I didn't do the screws is I want a little bend in here because you will need to, there's a hole here that goes on a post, and then the springs have to go on this nub, and there's one here. And this whole thing has to sit within this shell. Okay, so Got it in. I'm peeling up the mid plate so I can get it on its posts. And that spring missed its post. So we're going to pull this back a little bit. Almost there. There we go. Nice and clicky. So if we look at the spring, you can see there's a leg rested in here, a leg rested in here, and then it's pressure fit on these two nubbins. So I'm just going to pull it off. It's a weak spring. Doesn't take much. And now when reinstalling it, first I'm going to get it on those nubs. Cool. Now I want to make sure these legs are in the housing here. If it's not, this button will not feel right. Again, before I forget, two screws, one right by that spring, and another that secures the button for the shoulder. There we go. When putting this together, there's a U-shaped hole in here that you want to put this spring piece in like this. And then you're going to press fit to the outside of those nubbins that the springs are on. I don't really have a good way of showing this. There we go. These are labeled. So this is L2. This is the left. There is a overhang hole here that goes towards the battery. And even we probably should have done it before this trigger here, but you can make it work. The silver screw goes towards the battery. There's a long black screw here, and that goes away from the battery. So unlike Nintendo's where this seems to be glued in, that rod, these are not. In fact, they're quite loose. So it slides in. Again, super loose. So be careful. Do not lose this. You're going to want to put it in a way that this pushes against the release in here. There's no good way to show it here. But you can see once it's in, this is pushed out. And this rod can't be pushed in either direction. Let's plug in our battery. Plug in our rumble motor. I'll be curious when I open the next one if wire down was. Press fit this on and make sure your controller release is in there, and it should just snap closed. We're going to start with the Phillips. Goes on the bottom of the outside of the controller. Switch to tri-wing. We have 3 screws left. From these clips, just clip into the controller and you are done with your first one. I like to start this one at the bottom. All right, there you go.